So I'm going to preface this with that we are not going to any leaks or data mining or any of that. There are a few things that I will be discussing here. Primarily, it is about the public trademark, which is covered by a few other ArenaNet partners by the name Mistbound, which is now an NCSoft property, and the Hall of Monuments from Guild Wars 1 and what that would look like in Guild Wars 2. There's some speculation there. I want to make this very clear. This is all speculation, of which I have speculated on in the past. However, I wanted to shed some new light and perspectives on the topic. Also, I worked in some topics at the end since Fandral actually mentioned me in a video.
I want to maybe go off on a slight tangent here. About 3 weeks ago, Sil, a YouTube creator that I love, and I'll link his specific video, mentioned or talked a little bit about like veterans leaving the game, which is a thing.
And I wanted to put some of my thoughts out there as well based on kind of what he was saying. So with that, I hope you enjoy the video. So I've been away for a little while because some real life stuff. However, I was trying to devote some time making shorts for Guild Wars Reforged since they got 2 new dungeons added. So those of you who stopped by the shorts and watched them or commented on them, I really do appreciate it. My last short was a few days ago where I talked about the Hall of Monuments in Guild Wars 1, and a commenter, dude by the name of Traveling Down the Road, longtime viewer, fairly frequent commenter, chimed in about a video that he would like on the Hall of Monuments and doing a breakdown of what type of time commitment that would look like and how to get some of these skins in Guild Wars 2. And that kind of got me thinking, oh shit, because I've advocated for Hall of Monuments in Guild Wars 2 in the past, like, hey, you know, the game's dying, blah, 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 like we need a transition and Guild Wars 3 is coming out, you know, all that stuff. And I have 50 out of 50 in the Hall of Monuments in Guild Wars 1. And if you want a similar experience in Guild Wars 2, we are going to be in for quite a journey, because the Hall of Monuments, what it actually is, besides a way to get skins to carry over to a future game, is actually a giant list of shit to do while you wait for the following game to come out. It's literally perfect. It's a genius idea, but quick, easy, or cheap, it is not. The whole point is to keep players engaged, to give them a reason to keep playing in the meantime, and the rewards, these little exclusive carryover items, are kind of hard to get. And even with 12,000 hours played in Guild Wars 1, when I started Guild Wars 2, I actually started at 45 out of 50 in the Hall of Monument, and then I went back to get the ultimate Giga title, God Walking Amongst Mere Mortals, in Guild Wars 1, and that is where I finished up the last 5 points that I needed. So I thought it might be fun to speculate on some Guild Wars 2 achievements that would qualify for points towards the Guild Wars 2 Hall of Monuments. The categories would have to be changed a bit. So first off, Guild Wars 2 was out for significantly longer than Guild Wars 1, now Guild Wars Reforged, in terms of actual active development. So some of these categories need to be bloated up a bit to make them actually engaging. Think of it like the Seasons of the Dragons thing, which actually was insanely popular, and I still recommend doing it if you haven't done the Seasons of the Dragons achievement. But first off, the Guild Wars Hall of Monuments, it's broken down into 5 categories, which are mini pets, heroes and pets, titles, armor, and weapons. For armor, under the armor collection, you get all of these points from like 7 full sets of armor, and then elite Luxon armor, or Kurzak armor, Vobian armor, and Obsidian armor. And this would relate into Guild Wars 2 terms, would be like 1 set of legendary armor, 1 set of ascended armor, and then probably like the PvP and World vs. World armor sets, at least an exotic, and then something like the bounty hunter sets or the bladed armor sets or the laystone armor sets that have like little collections, you know, maybe carapace armor from Silver Wastes. Realistically, outside of the PvP and World vs. World armor sets, you really aren't likely gonna have too much challenge getting these guys, and many veterans probably already have them. Maybe I'd like to see some of the backpack collections go in here, like the luminescent backpack or the various Palawajoko ones or the Sunspear ones in Path of Fire. Those little like backpack collections I think fit nicely under this kind of like armor banner, where it's like, okay, you got to go and do all of these little achievements if you haven't done them already. I think that would be a good way to find some of these less achieved achievements and be like, okay, now you have a reason to go do it. For weapons, we got a kind of similar boat in Guild Wars 1. So in Guild Wars 1, you have oppressor weapons, torment weapons, and destroyer weapons. Those are the 3 that qualify. And I think it would be cool to, of course, have legendaries be put in there. But I think what would also be cool is specialization weapon collection. These kind of get overlooked a lot, and they would push people out to revisit those areas, give them a reason to follow up with them for different reasons. Like for me, I've done maybe a couple of the elite specialization weapon collections. Typically, I would just shoot for the legendary weapon of that type, so either greatsword or an axe or whatever. But sometimes I would get it just for the skin. I don't necessarily think you need to collect all of them. Maybe ArenaNet, depending on how much time they need, they'll say like, oh yeah, no, you got to do all of them. But I think one for each class would be appropriate. Not necessarily collecting them all. You do want kind of the Hall of Monuments to be available to people to look at and be able to go back to it. Like, so if you're a Guild Wars 3 player, the same way that there are Guild Wars 2 players that have never played Guild Wars 1, you want like a future Guild Wars 3 player to be able to look at it and be like, oh shit, like I'll go play Guild Wars 2 and do some of these things. But then of course you would add, Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3 legendary weapons. I would really like to have a spot for non-legendary weapons from different campaigns. As of late, especially in Visions of Eternity, we've been getting a lot of trinkets and armor stuff alongside weapons. So for Janthier Wilds, like I made the spear, but I sold it. And in Visions of Eternity, I made the Aqua Breather. But I think having some kind of like bind one legendary from X campaign would be a good way to like rack and stack the weapon point. But I don't know. I'm sure that ArenaNet will come up with something with that. And then we have titles. Like, so titles, this is going to be a big one. I think most people think of like raids, fractals, or like even the paid titles like I'm rich, but just simple stuff like been there, done that, or Dungeon Master might be qualifying here. I think that there are a lot of titles, a lot of special achievements, some that are super hard like Infallible, some that are super easy or just time consuming to get. I think that there is a way of being creative with this and trying to kind of boil down like, oh, okay, like these are the titles that qualified, and you have like super hard high-end ones, like some of the Aurene collection ones that you can apply to it, but also you need to have kind of like a throwaway list as well that are more approachable for casual play. I would like to see a good balance in there where it's like maybe you have 1 or 2 of these harder titles. I would definitely keep the raid and fractal stuff off, or at least let it be a bonus. Like, oh yeah, you have Fractal God, go ahead and add it, but it shouldn't be a requirement to max out your points in that category. For the heroes and pets aspect, I think they will likely need to be completely different. It'd be really funny if they had like a pay to win thing, like with mounts and mount skins. I think that'd be kind of hilarious, but I do know a lot of people that did pay for mount skins, so maybe it would be a good way of honoring the mount system and the people who supported the game. I'm not exactly sure how you would do that without it being like Omega cringe or anything like that. But the real thing, once again, the Hall of Monuments is meant to retain players' attention and give them some gnarly grinds to go for. And I'm hoping it won't be too bad for veteran players, but still engaging enough to keep them engaged and have their interest. So that way I have a decent list to work towards over whatever drought period there is before Guild Wars 3 releases. Now, this morning I was pleasantly surprised by my buddy and fellow ArenaNet partner, Fandral. Check him out if you haven't already. My favorite data-driven, clinically depressed European man. He mentioned some of my thoughts in a video that I did recently, that how I was noticing that veterans kind of were taking a step back from the game. He also shared some thoughts about the trademark Mistbound in Guild Wars 3 and so on and so on. So time for the Guild Wars 3 rant. I can't mention Hall of Monuments without mentioning what we're doing the Hall of Monuments for after all, right? And that's Guild Wars 3. So Guild Wars 2 is a good game. Just because a game is done doesn't mean that everything is bad, or that an individual that completes a game doesn't mean that like they hate the game. It's just, it doesn't mean the game is bad. They're just done with it. Like, how many games can you look at and be like, damn, dude, I wish I could Men in Black mind erase myself and play it again. Like, I'm sure anyone who's played Expedition 33 would love to just like straight flashbang themselves and play it again like they don't know the story. I find myself doing this with like really good series or books, and I'm pretty sure Mighty Teapot wishes he could mind erase himself over ever watching Umbrella Academy Season 4, which you should totally ask him about, by the way. But I digress. Gamers need a reason to engage with the game. This can be personal challenges, this can be achievements, this can be wanting to experience something novel, this can be community or social elements. And I think you see all of these motivations among the various ArenaNet partners. We got Teapot, who's like looking for sweaty gameplay and engagement at a high game level. We have Sneb, who's a big community guy. We have Hellmasker, who's a big achievement-oriented gamer. And then you've got me, who just wants to escape the crushing reality of the life that I have built and all of its obligations. Combine the varied interests that draw people to an MMO with a game that people have put tens of thousands of hours into and 14 years of development, and you get two things: a bloated mess in many cases, and you also run out of space. This is my primary concern talking about the game, 2 years ago. Visions of Eternity and the release of Elite Specializations, in my opinion, signified the beginning of the end. And really, what we have been seeing, the good things that Visions of Eternity has been releasing, and that Soto released, and that Janther Wilds released, and the recent nerf Apocalypse that was an apocalypse for boss health, all of these things are signs of the game ending simply because ArenaNet is finally pulling out all the stops. Like, Spears on Land was an audience request. Open world legendary armor, legendary trinkets, and open world rings and stuff that you can craft without heavily engaging with other players makes it easy for a low population game to still be playable. The elite specs, though it adds significant bloat to balance and build craft, they knew it would sell, which they were right. The numbers don't lie. They were right. Elite Specialization sold, and they don't really need to care about it because they're going to be maintenance moding the game soon enough after. Like, it's not going to happen tomorrow, it's not going to happen this year, but like, they're not going to be maintaining all of these elite specs that they just added 5 years from now. The boss HP nerf, while in present balance and present skill level, basically makes all the bosses more approachable for casual gamers, which will be the primary audience for the game once it has a successor. Like back before Guild Wars Reforged came out and we were just rocking Guild Wars 1, one of the things that the devs did as a final act of the game was allow a 7-party hero system. When the hero system first came out, you had a max of 3 heroes that you could add to your party, which means that you would still likely want one other player, so that way you could have a full party of 8 heroes or 6 heroes and 2 players. But when they knew that the end was here, they basically made the game as solo friendly as possible. The addition of all these trinkets and rings and open world this and open world that and all the cool stuff that they added that they don't need to really care about balance, it is very similarly coded in my opinion. Now, does that mean Visions of Eternity isn't worth it? Absolutely not. Does it mean that the game isn't worth playing or isn't worth buying? Absolutely not. Once Visions of Eternity is done, we will have more info on what is to come. I'll be doing a full review. I'm actually playing through the Q2 patch currently. I got some background footage of Isgaren doing the Fenty fold, but I really haven't gotten that far into the new map. So far, it looks really great, and I'm just trying to kind of remember where we left off 6 months ago in terms of the story and what our goals and motivations are. Like, I know they took the spear, and then like we're kind of hunting them down, right? But with that, I think I've kind of covered everything I wanted to talk about. We got a nice mix of Doom, Cope, and Acceptance all in one sleek video, so how about that? Anyway, I want to say thank you for watching. A big thanks to all my subscribers. Special thanks to all of my members who support the channel. I really appreciate it more than you guys know, and I'm going to be here until the end of Guild Wars 2, well into Guild Wars 3, I'm sure. So sub if you haven't already. Check out Fandrel's channel if you haven't. He's made some really good points in his coverage of the earnings. He's a big data, big money guy, super chill, really engaging stream. So check him out if you don't know who he is. Thanks again for watching, and I will catch you on the next one.